in Shneknukwa, in Sheshmehaliksa, Litwat Ulfken, Shtatlinken. Hello and welcome. My name is Mehaliksa and I'm from the Lil'wat Nation. My English name is Alison and I'm the junior curator here at the Squamish Lil'wat Cultural Centre. So in this part of the gallery we talk a little bit about some of our mythological stories. So right behind me we have a version, our mask represents Kalkalilh. Kalkalilh is a giant cannibal woman of the woods. And this is a Squamish Nation story. But in the Lil'wat Nation, we have a very similar story where the wild woman is Shkalula, which is a giant owl. And the stories are very similar where parents would tell their children the story so that they would come home early, behave while they were out. And further along the wall, we also have the two written versions so that if we don't have a cultural ambassador here, people can still read about the stories. The Wild Woman of the Woods is a very common story. Many different nations have a similar version, so it's really common through many different communities.
So good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to tell you the legend of Kalkalilh. And Kalkalilh is the big cannibal woman from the mountain. So the story of Kalkalilh that we have here, what I have you children here today, is of course this is Kalkalilh's basket. Kalkalilh, she would come down into the villages where she would scoop the children up into the basket. So as she was scooping the children up into the basket, she would make a sound. She would go, whoop! So as they were making their way back to Kalkalilh's home to the mountain, is that the boy, he actually cut out a big hole into the basket. And so what himself and the older children started to do is that they started to release, they started to free the smaller children and told them to go run back to our villages and tell our parents that the older children were going with Kalkalilh to her home to the mountain. So when they arrived to Kalkalilh's home, what they started to do is that they started to play games with Kalkalilh. Is that they started drumming and singing with her, and they started doing traditional dancing with her. The older children, they ganged up on Kalkalilh, and then they pushed her into the fire. And they held Kalkalilh down with really long poles. So not too long after that, Kalkalilh, she exploded. Poof! She burst into billions of ashes, which then transformed into lice and mosquitoes. So my friends, if you're wondering where the lice and the mosquitoes come from, we still call them little Kalkalilhs ourselves.
All right, come check out the show at Arts Whistler. And while you're in Whistler, why don't you come through SLCC? We'll sing a song. We got a beautiful film. We got tour guides and even more stories to come and have a look at.